Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. Today we'll be covering union and prevailing wage reporting. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a regional sales manager here at Foundation. I've been here for 25 years. For the webinar today, everybody's going to be muted. You're going to hear me, I can't hear you. There's a question section in the GoToWebinar control panel. Feel free to put those questions in. We'll get to as many as we can toward the end of the webinar. Again, welcome. Let's get started. Okay, today we're going to cover union and prevailing wage reporting, how to process multiple unions, multiple pay rates on a single time card, how to generate certified payroll reports automatically, how to calculate fringes automatically as well. For those of you unfamiliar with Foundation, we're a job cost accounting software that caters to the construction industry. We do handle automated WIP reporting, project management, payroll we do cater to as well, union certified payroll. We're a cloud-based system, secure access from anywhere. We do provide direct support and training as well. In addition to the Foundation Job Cost Accounting program, we provide a number of different software solutions. The HQ Suite for project management and crew scheduling, Payroll for Construction is our in-house payroll service for payroll and tax processing, McCormick Estimating Software, estimating designed for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing contractors, Edge Estimating for roofing and interior, as well as WorkMax, our mobile timekeeping app. All right, so now that we've covered our bases, let's jump into the software itself. What everybody's seeing here is the main menu, and a little crash course for anybody that's never seen the program before. We've got our base modules, which are the core accounting modules. We've got these additional modules that users can pick and choose. We've got project control down here toward the bottom as well. So today we're mostly going to focus on these base modules with payroll in particular. Where I like to start is with the job setup. So in Foundation, everything revolves around the job, and I'm going to just pull up one of my sample jobs here. Couple things to point out as it relates to payroll. You see I've got job numbers. It's alphanumeric, letters, numbers, dots, dashes. The description, you name that job whatever you want to name it. There's a checkbox here for certified payroll. So if anybody's running these prevailing wage jobs, you check this box. That's how it knows to generate certified payroll. This checkbox is also retroactive. So if you forget to check it or nobody tells you it's certified until later, check this box afterwards. It'll go backwards retroactively, reproduce the reports that you missed. Also for the union contractors that are out there, we are multi-union capable, automation between these unions. So long and short of it, when the employee record is set up, attach that employee's home union. When the job record is set up, a user can attach the job record. And we do provide home and away logic as well. So any kind of reciprocity between unions. Let's say that you've got an employee that is coming out of local 6 and they're working a job in local 94, any kind of deductions and fringes that are going back and forth, we do handle that. We automate that process. No backing into calculations, no having to adjust fringes, pennies here, pennies there. This is fully automated. So I do like to start here just to provide some examples of depth, the certified payroll, the union reporting. Again, this all revolves around the employee setup as well as the job setup. So what I'll do here is jump into payroll. We'll go through some time cards. Now with our menu, these modules in bold, we've got the daily maintenance and reports menus, daily for daily entry, maintenance for setup, reports for running reports. Also on the left, we call these quick links. It's a favorites menu. If anybody wants to save favorites, you just drag and drop. You can shortcut to those screens. And part of the reason I like to point those out with payroll in particular, you can create custom workflow. So in this case, I've got a workflow for payroll, start at the top, work our way down step by step through that payroll process. So just a couple ways to get to the same screens. It's all user preference. That's unique to the user ID. So jumping into payroll, a little bit of the setup side. In maintenance, we do handle, again, the union prevailing wage setup, multi-union you can set up here. Pay rates can be defined within the system as well. And I like to show this, and this, again, would apply to prevailing wage as well as union. We have an effective date here. So in this example, my carpenter local 6, these rates are effective 1/1 of 21. That's how it knows to use those 21 rates. As the new rates are applied, you pop in here, get these set up ahead of time. It knows when to kick those rates in. So we're not overriding the previous rates. We're putting in the new rates and hanging on to those old rates. So if anybody has a split in the week, for example, old rates Monday, Tuesday, new rates Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's all on one time card, all on one paycheck. The prevailing wage rates, same logic here. Last year's rates, this year's rates, depending on what those jobs are under contract. That's how it knows what rates to use. The fringe also applies. So in addition to that base rate, we would help set up fringes, deductions. Again, this is an example of a union deduction fringe table, D for deduction, F for fringe. The effective date applies here as well. For the non-union prevailing wage contractor, same logic. We'd have just the standard fringe in here with that effective date in mind as well. So you see the depth here. This is really what we cater to on the union side of things, or on the payroll side of things. All of this is automated, provided it's configured and set up properly. With that in mind, as you're entering time cards, that's where you really see the time saving, you see the automation. So I'll give you an example. We're going to use Rick Stevens as the employee, and we're going to put Rick on the Lake County job. Now you see I use cost codes. So in our system, you can cost code your transactions, whether it's labor transactions, material transactions. So for those of you that do want to use cost codes, know that's very doable. And in this case, we will just enter a simple time card. Rick is on that Lake County job, 8 hours a day. You'll notice where it says pay rate and trade, these are going to default in. So when I press enter on the keyboard, notice it pulled electrician as the trade. It pulled $36.50 as that pay rate. That's pulling from those tables that we just took a peek at. This is where you see the automation on the entry side of things. Now, if I override that trade, let's say that Rick here works as a foreman for the last day as an electrician like he normally works. Now it knows to pull that foreman rate without any kind of manual overrides. The deductions, the fringes, those would calculate behind the scenes as well based on those labor trades. Again, this is a pretty easy one. Same job the entire week. Get into a little bit more complexity here. We'll use Rick again. Rick is working on that Lake County job. He's on that job for an hour, and he's working as an electrician, which is that default trade. Let's keep him on that same job for another hour on the same day. Only we'll override that trade. We will make Rick a foreman like we did on that previous time card. Then we're going to send Rick to a different job. We'll call this in a different jurisdiction. And we're going to do the same thing. Same day as an electrician for the first hour, and then as a foreman for the second hour on that job. And the point here is this is all in one day where you see pay rate here automatically. In this case, you get 4 different pay rates that come in on the same day. So to reiterate, there's no backing into rates. There's no overriding rates. These automate based on those rate tables. Fringes and deductions, those are doing the same thing, calculating behind the scenes. So pretty evident here, this is what we cater to. We like the complexities with payroll, the multi-union, the multi-prevailing wage jurisdiction, very much automated. Now the payroll processing itself, users can run a full payroll right through our system. So you can print checks out of here, you can do direct deposits out of here as well. This is fully capable of an entire payroll down to W-2s at the end of the year. For those that prefer not to process payroll in-house, that's where we've got our payroll for construction payroll service. We can step in, help process the payroll, take care of the taxes, take care of all the filings. So know that that's out there, something to keep in your back pocket. Now, regardless of that, in reports under payroll, users always have access to a number of different payroll reports, including certified. You notice there's a couple options here. So electronic, for those that need to file electronically, we've got a number of different formats in here. Aashto, EMARS, LCP Tracker, these are built into our system. So our program will just kick a file out specific to whatever format you select, take that file, upload it to the respective website, wipe your hands clean. There's zero entry that you're doing into these websites to submit these certified reports electronically. For those that prefer to print, you can print these directly out of the software. Also a number of formats here. Department of Labor, that's your standard WH-347. This is printable onto a blank piece of paper. All of these numbers are auto-populated. Zero entry that you're doing to get these reports going, other than entering those time cards. You'll see we provide the signature page as well, which is also automatically filled out. And again, number of different formats in here For those state specific, you just select that out of the drop down, it prints accordingly. So whether it's electronic or printed, we automate the process. The system will just automatically generate these files with zero entry other than getting those time cards in against the appropriate job. And also to reiterate, those time cards that I keyed in was done very manually with the WorkMax timekeeping app. If anybody were to use our app out in the field, those time cards are feeding into the accounting system, populate the time card, review them, double check them, make sure everything looks good. But the point there is there's zero entry in the software itself if anybody uses our mobile app, which would feed those time cards directly into the software. Okay, so a little crash course on that payroll process, the multi-union, the multi-prevailing wage jurisdiction, different rates on a time card, different fringes, different deduction calculations. That is really pretty evident here that this is what we cater to. And again, jumping into the reports under payroll, certified, ACA for those that are over 50 full-time employees. The ACA 1094 and 95 forms will come out of our system. Quarterly 941s, state tax, state unemployment, W-2s, W-3s, union reporting. Huge time saving here. I'll give you an example of one of the reports that I like to show. This is what we call our deduction and fringe report. So here's my local 6, handful of employees, their hours, their earnings, their deductions and fringes. We go to the next page. Here's totals for that local 6. And then in this case, you see I've got a bunch of examples here. Local 38 with totals, local 94, local 480. So these reports can be run independent of each other, or you can run one massive report to get all those union union locals on one single report, completely up to the user. But again, this is where pretty good example of how we cater to the multi-union contractor. All right, so that's payroll in a nutshell. Like I'd mentioned, the complexities in payroll, that really is what we cater to. Just to give everybody a little bit of a taste of some of the other things that we provide in addition to these complex payroll processes, I'm going to jump into our executive dashboard. And this is a big reason that companies do come our way. Again, we do specialize in the payroll side of things, but truly our system is a job cost accounting program. I mentioned before, everything more or less revolves around the job. So just to give everybody a little visual on some of the reports you can get from a job tracking standpoint, dashboard's a good place to start. Concept here is we start on a very summarized level, showing job totals on the left, each individual job on the right. And this is all about the drill down, where I can click this button that says View Report, and that drills into the work in progress, which is just one version of our system built into the dashboard. A couple different versions throughout the program. We do automate the WIP reporting, percent complete, over under billing, all these bonding reports, very much auto-generated. Then a user can click into a job number to drill into a summary of that particular job. The contract value, what you've billed, estimated costs, actual costs, gross margin, change orders. You get the idea, all numbers for that job that we clicked into. I mentioned earlier the cost coding. So we threw that time card in against a job and a cost code. A lot of users out there are wanting to see an estimated versus actual on a code level, which we do have the capability of handling. In this example, you can see I've got my estimated cost $449, actual $197. We click this link that says job cost detail, and that's a breakdown of all the different cost codes against that particular job. Just examples here. Users can have as many as they want. You can name them whatever you want to name them. These are only my examples. So we're tracking an estimated versus actual on a code level. And then if you were to click the cost code, here's my breakdown of labor, material, subcontract, and so on. We call these cost classes. Also customizable, just examples that you're seeing here. With payroll in mind, this is live labor costing. So as those time cards are entered, the labor's auto-calculated. If I want to see this 4,200 broken down further, click labor, and that's going to show all those time cards that came directly out of the payroll module to account for that 4,200. In addition to that, we are allocating the burden automatically, taking into account workers' comp rates, unemployment, union or prevailing wage fringes. Those numbers calculate to the penny. They'll follow the labor to the job and that cost code. So you really can dig into that granular detail. Another example unrelated to payroll, if I click into material, that would show any material-related transactions, in this case, a couple AP invoices. If we were to click the transaction number, here's the detail of that payable. And then we do have document imaging. If we were to click this paperclip icon, Now you're drilling down into a scanned copy of that material invoice, that subcontract invoice, whatever you're drilling into. So again, just a little taste of some of the job cost reporting. This is very much automated as well, feeding these transactions in from the day-to-day accounting entries. With those accounting entries in mind, just a couple other bells and whistles here. AIA billings, for those that are billing on a schedule of value. These are built directly into Foundation as well. So everything on the General tab is what you'd see on the G702 page. Billing tab 703, schedule of value breakdown. Users can bill by dollars, calculates percentage, or by percentage, let it calculate dollars. Retainage, also an automated process here. You may have caught on that job setup, we've got a percentage field for the retention. That would automate into the billing. And then just like we saw with that certified payroll report, the AIA can also be printed onto a blank sheet of paper. So we'll do the front page here. We'll do the continuation page as well. So just a couple things I like to point out, again, unrelated to payroll, but while you're all here, good to see some of the other capabilities in the program. All right, everybody, thanks for attending. We're going to go ahead and answer those questions that you have in the chat box. Let's get to the Q&A. All right, everybody. Once again, appreciate your time. Before we get to those questions, we're going to launch a little poll just to gauge thoughts on this. So if you guys wouldn't mind, maybe take a second to throw in an answer to that poll, and then we'll go ahead and get to those questions. We're going to leave that open just for a couple more seconds. Yep, there we go. All right, perfect. Okay, so hopping over to the questions, we'll knock those out real quick here and let you get back to your day. So one question came over, excuse me, does the system export an electronic file for uploading state unemployment? We do. So we've got a lot of exports, a lot of electronic filings, state tax, state unemployment, W-2s at the end of the year. So yeah, all of that would be built into the payroll module. Let's see here, we've got another one. Do we have accrual of reports for PTO? We do. So a number of different options with PTO. You can accrue based on hours worked. You can accrue based on calendar date, anniversary hire date, and the system would accrue those hours and then deplete those hours as they're used. So yeah, full PTO, sick time, vacation time, whatever terminology you're wanting to use here. All right, those were a couple payroll specific questions. There are just some general questions that I'll hit real quick here. One of which references cloud. Are you a cloud software? The answer is yes. So we host, we manage our cloud environment over here at Foundation. So yeah, system can be accessed from anywhere. No server needed, no internal backups or updates. That is all part of the cloud service. All right, let's see what else we have here. Not a ton of questions today. It looks like everything was pretty straightforward on the webinar. One did come over regarding time frame implementation. So our sweet spot, anywhere from 3 to 4 months to get our system fully up and running. So if anybody were to come our way, just figure about 3 to 4 months. We're not the plug and play QuickBooks. We're not the year-long implementation. And important to know, everything here at Foundation is done in-house. We develop the software, we train our clients, we support our clients. So anybody that does end up working with us, yeah, we see it through with the implementation, the training, the support. No third party involved is the point here. All right, yeah, so just a few questions. I appreciate everybody attending once again, and if there are any kind of questions, you can reach out to me directly. You see my email address there on the screen.
Anybody in our sales department can help. If there's anybody out there that's not on Foundation that would like to just connect for about an hour-long personal demo, that's something we can always facilitate and get you on the calendar. So reach out if you have any questions, and we will go from there. Once again, appreciate everybody attending, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.